G'day all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a real monster of a cassette deck. This is the first of 3 imports from Japan I'm doing this year. Kind of like the Excelia XK007 last year, I decided I was going to do the same thing again this year, only with even more strict rules than I had last time. Because I knew from the XK007 that getting anything high-end from Japan was going to blow the budget. I decided if I'm going to blow the budget out, I'm going to get the absolute top-of-the-line machines I can find, and I'm going to get 2 of them, and those are going to be the only 2 machines I allow myself to blow the budget on. So this is the first of them right here. What we are looking at is an A&D GX-Z9100. There are 3 different models that share this this model number. There's this one, there's the Z9100EX, and the 9100 EV as well. And it's the EV that most people consider to be the desirable one, but based on what I was finding out in my research, I just wasn't comfortable with the idea of spending what the EV required me to spend in order to get one of those. So I decided to go for the vanilla GX-Z9100, and we'll see what it's like. And if I decide I like it, then maybe I can try to find the EV model later down the line or something like that. But this is the first time I've ever dealt with this company on the channel, and it's only the second time I've ever dealt with this company throughout the last 50 years of my life. So I just kind of decided that if I'm getting into this stuff, I was going to go right to the top of the line model so I can decide whether or not I want to keep doing it with this brand or not. And you're probably wondering what I'm talking about there, because A&D isn't exactly a brand that's known in the US and Canada. Well, that's because this is a joint venture between Akai and Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi's high-end brand is called Diatone, and that's what the D stands for. But make no mistake, this is basically all Akai is doing right here. The Diatone part of it is just Mitsubishi putting the money up to make stuff like this. And this is a Japanese domestic market only machine here. You cannot get this model anywhere else in the world. And there's actually quite a few of them in Japan available to buy. So they're not terribly rare over there, but they are terribly expensive, especially if you want a good one. And this one is kind of rough, so yeah, I don't know how far we're going to get with this one, whether or not it's going to compete with the real top dogs in my collection. But if it doesn't at least come close, I will be shocked, because this thing is a tank. I mean, you almost need a forklift to move this thing. It's like generating its own gravitational field right now. It's that massive. But we'll take a look around the outside first, like we always do. See just what my $385 bought me. Yeah, that's what it cost. And believe it or not, this is the cheaper of the 2 ones I was allowed to blow the budget on this year. Yeah, the other one was $560 to win that auction. This is one heck of a fancy machine, isn't it? Quartz lock, 3-head, closed loop, double capstan, direct drive. Looks like we've actually got a little window there. It's really dirty to see what the heads are like in there. Yeah, I'm going to have to clean that up because I want that window to be clear. But that's only if I can get this machine working. Akai actually uses this transport in most of their 3-head machines, so I'm hoping I got all the right parts for it. I couldn't find direct replacements for the capstan belts or the idler or whatnot. So I basically went to Fix Your Audio and I bought all the rubber from there. This is getting all new belts, it's getting both pinch rollers, and it's getting the idler. I've got all that stuff here. So what did this cost me to get into my lab right now? Well, I figure I'm about 650 bucks into this thing as it sits without having done a thing to it so far. So, yeah, you can probably computate from there what the second one's going to cost me, but it's not a pretty number, I'll tell you that right now. Anyhow, got lots of fancy features I've never seen on a tape deck before. This one's got a built-in calibration bias, or a calibration test tone generator, it looks like. That's nice. The XK007 doesn't even have that. Got the usual Dolby B and C here. And this is something I've never seen before. You can actually defeat the HX Pro on this one. I don't know why you'd want to, but I've heard some people say that this helps with classical music and whatnot, so it's kind of nice to have. We've got the usual MPX filter for recording off FM. CD, DAT Direct, the Excelia has that. I don't consider it particularly interesting, but it has that. Counter reset memory, display. We've got power loading on this one, so the stop button also functions as eject and close. Got memory A, B, and record cancel edit buttons up here. IPSS, whatever that is. Auto mute, record pause, all the usual stuff. And there is a remote sensor, but I did not get one that had the remote. Reason being, the ones that come with the remote cost more money. And yeah, I love these fancy wooden panels this thing's got on it. But as you'll find out in a second here, the right side one has issues. Man, that is nice. I think it's all high quality wood too. It's not junky particle board or whatnot. But yeah, this is the $100 discount for this machine. Nobody wanted to bid on this because of this chipping here. And I thought to myself, well, if it gets here and I find this objectionable, I can always make new side panels. But this does not concern me at all. What does concern me is the obvious corrosion I see on these screw heads here. So I just hope this thing's able to be brought back around. You'll remember the Excelia had some issues like that as well. And yeah, on the back panel, we've got gold-plated connectors, and those are corroded as well. A little bit of corrosion going on at the screws here, but honestly, I kind of think this one's a little bit better than the Excelia was. And I'm noticing that the top panels and side panels are all one piece here, so I bet I could just take these wooden panels off and just leave them off if I wanted to. But right now, I don't want to, because quite honestly, this chipping here, you would never see that in an audio cabinet. So I'm thinking I'm going to leave those alone, and I'm not going to make new ones. I will make new ones for some of these Sony ones over here that don't have the wooden sides, but we're not talking about those today. We're talking about this beast. So what is the problem with this one? Well, the seller in Japan said the tape door doesn't stay closed, and that is a very common issue with this particular transport. Anyhow, we're going to plug in. I've got my 100 volt transformer out right here. I'm going to give it some juice, and we're going to see what happens when this thing's powered up. A little bit noisy, but yeah, that's exactly what the listing said was wrong with it. Yeah, not unexpected at all. Let's have a look down in there. I'll be honest, that looks extremely dirty. Capstan motor is apparently running. Oh good, those tape guides are in good shape. Let me show you what I mean here. That one right there, I'm kind of aiming the screwdriver at. That one tends to break if the pinch rollers get stuck up and the head block doesn't disengage and people force the door open. So this door has never been forced open. That is important to me right now. That was one of my biggest worries. Because one of the major issues with this transport is the pinch roller pivots get stuck and then the head block gets stuck in a somewhat raised position and you can't get your tape back. So, yeah, I'm not even going to try to play a tape in this. If I try to put a tape in this, it'll just do the same thing as it's been doing all along as it's been sitting here. It'll just eject right away again. And it won't load the actual head block or whatnot. But I'm just taking a little bit of a closer look. I don't think those pinch rollers are too bad, but I'll replace them anyway. I don't think we've got discrete heads on this one. I think it takes the EV or EX to get that. Oh, look at all the residue on the capstans. Golly, that's terrible. Okay, what I want to do right now is I want to see just how hard it is to move those pinch rollers, if I can. I don't know if I can. We'll get inside this unit in a second. We have to. All right, let's see if I can get in here and manipulate these arms. Probably not. Yeah, they're not moving that way. We have to actually get the transport out in order to see how bad the grease is in those pinch roller pivots. So here we are with the cover off, and you can feast your eyes on the goodness within. Seriously, this is probably the best looking tape deck internals I've ever seen. Look at this. All copper coating on, or copper plating on these panels. That is something else, I'll tell you what. And it looks like Akai had this board set up to be FG servo or quartz lock, which is kind of interesting. But the best equivalent we would have in North America for this particular model would be the GX-95, but I've heard that the 95 is actually quite a bit different than this. This uses a completely different audio circuit, and obviously it's quartz lock, not FG servo, but yeah, I've never seen these capacitors before either. Clearly Nippon Chemicon ASI series, it looks like. Very cool. We've even got those little yellow caps on the direct drive board up there. So let's take a closer look at this transport. See if we can figure out what's going on. I see the mode belt already. It's this one up here. Feels very hard and glazed. So that's why our door is not staying closed. This belt can't get the tension going to fully close the mechanism, but I will tell you right now, I'm not just going to replace that belt. You'd be tempted to with a unit like this, but you should go through the transport first and re-grease everything first. Because what happens if you've got hardened grease that has turned to glue? Well, the next best thing is going to fail in the chain of events, which is all of this plastic stuff. And that's when you get gears stripping out and losing teeth. So I'm not just going to simply replace that belt and see if it works. We have to get this transport out, and it has to be serviced before I even try that. Okay, I see a cam gear down in there. Couple of them maybe. Actually, I see an issue right there. Don't know if you can see it. Don't know if the camera will focus on it. Let me try and get it to do so. It looks like that one tooth is missing, or part of it's missing anyway. See if I can get you a better look there. Let me fire it up. I want to see what happens with that gear when it turns. Okay, I saw it turn. Maybe that's not such a big deal. Let's try that one more time. I'm trying to resist the temptation to manually try to push the mechanism over, because yeah, I'm kind of concerned about stripping out any more of those little teeth in that gear if I do that, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I am going to take the door off the front. That way, if anything jams up in there, I can easily get it out. And yeah, you can see the head block coming up there. So there is clearly enough issues with the grease in there to warrant me taking it apart and re-greasing it. So I guess that is the next step, and we need to look at those heads too. A lot of people say that Akai's glass heads like this never come into any issues with wear, but they can wear, and you can't really see it if they have worn unless you use a microscope, and I gotta do that. So it turns out the back panel only has a couple of screws you have to pull out in order to get it off. That's because most of them are keyholed, so all you gotta do is loosen them and it just slides right off. The two you have to remove are this one up in this corner and this center one, and that's it. And yeah, the whole bottom panel, copper plated. You just don't see that from anything short of extremely high-end Japanese market only tape decks. Well, I shouldn't say only. I think the JVC TD1010 is very similar to this, but I don't have one of those. But check this out. WEMA from the factory, it looks like. Let's see here. If I can get my flashlight going. Yep, those are WEMA parts. And these green capacitors, apparently these are special as well, but I don't know exactly whether or not they're desirable. See, Hi-Fi Rules has the EV version of this, and he ended up replacing a bunch of these capacitors, these green ones, with Nichicon Muse, and I might end up doing that as well, but I want to give these a chance because these were part of the marketing for this unit. Apparently they're very special, and I would have to even figure out whether or not I've even got the right parts to replace these. Like these two here are 0.68 microfarad. I don't have those. Apparently my flashlight needs recharging, so I'll have to do that over lunch here. But yeah, maybe it'll be okay. It looks like most of these capacitors are these special yellow ones. I bet most of these are in the signal path, and those would be the ones I'd want to change for Muse if I did it. But that's if I want to do it. I gotta shut my flashlight off now to conserve power, and yeah, to get the transport out, it looks like all I gotta do is free up the head wires from this side and free up the transport control wires from the other side, and then it comes out. But I'm noticing I can get another look at the cam gear from this side as well. I really need my flashlight to be working right now. Yes, now we can see what that gear does and what it looks like when it spins. Yeah, I don't see any missing teeth on that gear. Of course, there could still be some, and if that gear is broken, this will end the experiment into Akai real quick, because I don't know where to find one of those gears. Nobody makes them. They're not available. I would basically have to buy another one of these for parts, or at least buy some other Akai for parts that uses this same mechanism. So I got the transport out here. Not too hard to get this transport out, but you gotta watch these head wires. They'll get hung up, and you don't want to break them, so just be careful is all. But I immediately see an issue with this thing. Just checking out the pinch roller sliding arms here. This one moves fairly freely. This one does not move at all. That is extremely gummed up. That's the worst I've ever seen, actually. The carver was bad after we did those modifications, but this is a whole other level of bad. This thing needs to be stripped down and re-greased badly. So I hope that's not too hard. It probably is. But, yeah, it doesn't look like this transport's really that hard to service at all. It looks like the motor section comes off for servicing. But the one thing I'm concerned about is whether or not I'm going to be able to get this aligned again if I completely strip it down as far as I would like to. So yeah, we're going to have to do a lot of work to this transport. It needs a lot of help, just based on how this grease feels. Yeah, all of this has to be cleaned up and re-greased. I don't think there's any going halfway at all with this transport. I have to really shove on that in order to move it. So yeah, I guess we best get started, huh? I decided to set this aside overnight just to see, or just for study purposes, to see how it's built and how it all works and stuff. And it appears that what I initially thought were pieces of broken teeth on this cam gear are actually alignment marks. And as you can see, it's actually lined up right now, actually, on one of those marks. You can see there's just a little bit of a slot there and a slot here, and they're lined up. And there's a slot here as well. So that's that issue. And the other thing is, I wanted to free up the pinch roller pivots just so I could service them easier. Yeah, I'm going to tell you exactly how I managed to free up these pinch roller pivots. The worst one, of course, was this one. And basically what I did was, pretend this is my soldering iron. What I did was I heated up the soldering iron, and I stuck it on the side of that pinch roller pivot dealie here. And then once I got it heated up, I moved it back and forth a bit. And then what I did was I took my sewing machine oil and I just dribbled some on the top of the at the top of the bearing there. So as you can see now, it's moving really well. This thing would play now if I put it back together, but I'm obviously not going to do that because I need to do a full service on this transport yet. And yeah, I did spill some oil in there. I hope nothing got on the back tension brake, but whatever. But yeah, it looks like this is actually quite an easy transport to deal with. I don't think there's anything too crazy about it, actually. And the other thing is about the cam gear, I know it's fine because I can get this thing into play mode now. It'll go all the way. And I have not seen one single broken tooth out of that gear. It's just the usual alignment marks from it. Anyway, I'm going to stop doing that because this transport needs to be in the unloaded position, I think, to get it fully apart. So I don't want to waste too much of my time later. I'll just set it there for now. And the other thing is about the head. I am now able to get into there with the microscope, and I took some pictures of the head, and I've got some good news there. It does not appear that there is any significant wear to these heads at all. There might be a couple of chips around the playback head gaps, but the record head looks fine. So if I'm being totally honest with you, I think we're headed for another Excelia XK007 experience here, where something shows up here looking kind of rough, and then it turns out it beats everything else I own for recording. And I think that's where this is heading now. I'm getting this strong feeling that once I get this thing back together and serviced, it's going to knock everything else out of the top spot. Well, let's see if we can make some progress with this guy. I'm still not feeling 100%, but I gotta get this done and off the table because I gotta get started on that Nakamichi 480 real soon here. As I speak, I'm about 2 subscribers away from the 1,000 subscriber mark, so yeah, that one's got to get on the table, because that one's going to be probably every bit as persnickety to service as this guy is likely to be. So, got my iso alcohol here. Get the moly coat ready. I think I've got everything. I've got all the rubber parts here. And you guys will also be seeing me use this on the channel. I'm using it for the first time on this tape deck, but it's very likely you will be seeing this for the first time on the NAC 480 video. So I'm not going to explain how it works in this video. I'm just going to use it, just to get used to it. But yeah, I've got an alignment gauge now, so definitely willing to save myself a little time and energy on this one, since I have very little of that as is. But first thing we need to do is get the door off and these 2 side panels off. Should be interesting. First, we'll get rid of some of these zip ties. I'll try to be as comprehensive as possible with what I'm doing here, but keep in mind I am not feeling well, so not exactly sure how much I'm going to be able to leave in here. I do have lots of vintage commercials I found for both Akai and Diatone, so I'll sprinkle those in as I find the need for it, just to keep you all a little more entertained. That one fell apart, that zip tie. Yeah, all this stuff gets old and it falls apart. And you'll notice I've gloved up today. That's because I'm expecting this to get extremely messy.
If you don't want to, you shouldn't have to. Hippity hoppity hoo. Sooner or later you surely find out. Hippity hoppity. Hippity hoppity. If you If you don't want to, you shouldn't have to. Hippity hoppity hoo. Sooner or later you surely find out. Hippity hoppity hoo.
Akai TV deserves to be seen.
Keep in mind that these are all solid core wires that are wire wrapped, so they're likely to break if you're not careful. That's why I'm taking pictures. Free those up. I'm doing this from an ejected state. I think it'll be slightly easier to put things back together this way. Who knows? And we'll be re-greasing all this stuff here too, as well. Because I value redundancy. Anyhow, let me just check this and see how this goes together. We'll unhook it from this side. If we can. There is a spring on the bottom here. Make note of that. Set that aside for a second. I want to get this spring squared away here before losing it. I'll show you how this goes on. It's kind of a funky shape, this spring. Kind of goes like that, and then you, well, it's kind of hard to tell, but the spring tension comes this way, and then hooks onto the door. I'm basically just doing this for my own benefit later, so I can get this back together properly. And I should mention that there are some plastic springs on the door here. These give you the tension against the cassette shell via this pad here. And on some of these, what you can find is that some of these deform over time and don't have enough spring pressure. I've checked this one, it's fine, so I'm not going to do anything with that, but what you can do to alleviate that is to pull those, well, pull this mechanism apart first, and then pull the little plastic springs out, and then heat shape them using, like, my hot air tool. But I'm not seeing much need to do that on this particular transport. Now there's a spring attached to this side, so they have to be careful. That's why I'm holding it in place, kind of, or trying to anyway. But yeah, a year ago I wouldn't have even attempted this mechanism. I was just too inexperienced, I thought, to deal with it. And there's the spring right there. But yeah, I've come a long way since then, so I'm not particularly intimidated by this anymore. Alright, I don't know which way is easier for this to go back together. But it looks like the spring, yeah, it unclips easier this way. So yeah, when we replace the spring, it goes through this hole right here. I don't know if you can see that. I should change my exposure compensation because I've noticed this gimbal and the software tends to dim things down too much. Alright, exposure compensation complete. I don't know if it's working or not, but it should be. I got another zip tie to get rid of here. There's a little micro switch here that's responsible for loading the tape as you push the door in. Okay, that needs to be re-greased badly. Alright. What is next? And I think we're going to do the motor drive section first, because I have this feeling I'm going to have to stop in the middle of this and come back tomorrow, because I'm still feeling that sick. Okay, now we got to get rid of this plate. See if I can free up the wires here. Okay, now I can put this off to the side. The brakes are on. Let me free up the brakes here. Yeah, reel tables could use some lube. Could very definitely use some lube. Yeah, this doesn't look too hard to service, honestly. I was worried about it, but I don't think I needed to be. All right, let's get the motor block off. Let's see, we got the one screw here, 2 screws on the other side, and it looks like it just comes right off. Of course, this could be a mistake, but I don't think it is. It seems like Akai really meant you to be servicing it this way. I was watching another YouTuber the other day who serviced this transport, and he didn't do this part, and kind of confused me as to why he didn't. Maybe he knows something I don't. Quite possibly he knows something I don't, but let's find out what a mistake this was. Okay, is it not freed up on one side? No, it's freed up. It's just really, really grungy with old grease. And yeah, it just comes apart just like that. Easy peasy. I just want to take a look at how it goes together real quick here so I don't screw up putting it back together later. Just trying to look through to see which pieces contact what. And this honestly looks really easy. If I can free the wires up here. Basically what we've got going on here is we have a few parts that contact the cam gear. And down here, this is what moves the pinch rollers, and I guess this is what moves the head block up and down. So yeah, this should be really easy for me to service, I think. Yeah, I don't know why I was so worried about trying on this mechanism. But yeah, we've got one connector that shares a connection between the two halves, so I can't fully separate each piece, but yeah, easy. Real easy. And this is the cam gear. And I'll show you the alignment marks here. I've got a printout right here of the alignment marks for my own personal reference, but let's see if I can find it here. There's this little area here. It's kind of a rectangle with a sort of arrow on it. That is the alignment mark for timing the mechanism. And if I can get it to move down in position here. Okay, I've got it lined up with this little slot in the plate here. And when you've got that lined up with that mark, there's another sort of a mark on this little section down in here that lines up with this little slot. And basically that's how you time this mechanism. But yeah, I do not see a single broken tooth on this. So, next part, we gotta pull the motor stuff apart. But yeah, I'm already severely tempted to start buying more Akai stuff now, just based on how easy this appears to be serviceable. In fact, I'm already looking at 7100 EVs to import. I shouldn't do that because my car needs stuff now, but I'm thinking about it. I won't deny it. Oh, all these wonderful JIS screws not moving. I've got a JIS screwdriver set coming, but it's obviously not here yet. Yeah, Phillips is not ideal to use with these types of screws, but it's all I've got, so... Yeah, when they get real hard to crack loose like that, you just have to press real hard and hope you can get it, pretty much. All right, there we go. I'll just grab that belt. Hardened glazed, because of course it is. We'll pull this off. I need to lubricate this, and I need to try and get some oil down into at least this front bearing here. Okay, that should have done it. Maybe that'll quiet it down. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'll have to get in there and do a motor service on it yet, but it's moving well. Lots of old cruddy grease that came off there. That seems a bit loose, I must say. Same with that one. I'll clean them up now because I might as well. And this belt's seen better days. Let's find out how stretched it is. Should be a 9-inch internal circumference belt. But is it? .64. Yeah, it's a little over 9 inches now. So those are both getting trashed because I've got new belts. And even if the ones from Fix Your Audio don't work, I'm sure I've got Deck Tech belts that will. You know what? I don't think there was any grease on this one. From factory. And I'm pretty sure I'm the first guy that's ever been in here too, so thanks, Akai. No oil keepers on this thing. Not at all. While I'm at it, I will clean the capstans. I've already actually done this somewhat earlier, but that was basically to keep the crud on the capstans from getting into the capstan bearings. Where we don't want it. I'm going to go ahead and do some moly coat on here right now. Just a little bit of a coating. Nicely lubricated. No broken teeth I can see on here either, which is good. I paid enough for this. I don't need these gears breaking because I left some old dirty grease in here. And I actually don't know exactly how far I'll be going with the next one, the more expensive one I imported from Japan, because apparently that one works. But who knows? It probably needs something. They all need something. 35-year-old machines. Of course they're not perfect anymore. Just going through the pulley here to clean it up. And that should do the job. It's moving well. I apologize if you hear me coughing, but like I said, not feeling well, so it is what it is. Okay, might as well break out the acetone and do some cleaning of the flywheels now, so I don't forget to do it later. We're going to need it out anyway to clean out the capstan bearings. And once again, the acetone goes nowhere near the capstan itself. Trying to remember to do all this on camera with you. Lots of garbage coming off there. This way I can clean this stuff off before my gloves get too greasy with the old crap that's on the cam gear. Alright, that's one pretty clean. Fresh acetone, and we'll do this other one. I'm just cleaning the surface where the belt rides, pretty much. There, that should do it. And look at all the gunk we got off there. Now I'll do a quick chase around with the iso-alcohol to clean off the acetone, even though I don't really think I need to, but what the heck, we're here. 2 cotton pipe cleaners. I am dipping one in the acetone, which is behind you. And let's see here, how am I going to do this? Keeping this away from plastic is the key. I'm feeding it through the front and coming out the back. Going to replace this oil with fresh Andorol anyway. Okay, same thing with the other capstan. I'm going to put my hand under it to protect the board from acetone. You can't see it coming through, but it is coming through. And there we go. That should be it for the acetone, actually. I don't want to use it on anything that might be anywhere near plastic, so very important. So, what is next? Well, next is the cam gear, I guess. So, the factory wants you to pull this whole metal dealie off, but I don't really see the need to do that. That's moving freely. I don't like dealing with these weird cross-shaped retaining washers here. Those are a pain in the butt to get on and off. So I think what I'm going to try to do is go right to the cam gear now. Okay, are we done yet? No, we've got to get the whole cam gear off, and I bet my snap ring pliers are not going to work for this. This seems a little bit small for these pliers. Well, I managed to get the snap ring off. It wasn't easy. Basically, I had to use a combination of dental picks and screwdrivers in order to get it. That's after dremeling down the other snap ring plier attachments I had, and only to find that that the tips broke off in there. So yeah, basically my snap ring pliers are screwed up now. At least the right angle tips on it are screwed up. I've still got one decent pair of tips on it, but yeah, not fun. But I did get the ring off, and now we can clean. Lining up the marks, and off comes the cam gear. Look at that. Nasty. That is why we're doing this. I'm going to have to find a better way, or figure out a better way to deal with that snap ring the next time I work on one of these, I think. But yeah, you can kind of see where this alignment mark is now. There's kind of a slot here, and it's supposed to be lined up with this little notch there. That's how that works. And it's important to note that the notch goes both directions, or the line on here goes both directions. You don't want it lined up wrong. So I'm kind of trying to hold it in place while I get down in here and clean this mess. And I hope I didn't move it out of position accidentally. May have to review my footage in order to get this timed back up again. Well, I think I managed to get this cleaned up to the point where it's actually usable again. And I've got a fresh pair of gloves on because that's how dirty they got. But yeah, it still looks kind of dirty, and it is kind of dirty yet. But I got the worst of it off for sure. Just going over it one more time just to be safe. But yeah, this little doohickey here that engages with the eject lever, this goes into the spiral slot that's closest to this gear. So that's where you want to lubricate, and also around the edge here, because around the edge is where this pushes up against. This is what releases the brakes, I think. I'm not sure. It does something to do with the mechanism. Either it raises or lowers the head or something like that. I don't know. Anyhow, we got to do some moly coating real quick here. And we're going to use a decent amount of it too, I think. Just cleaning off my dental picks here so I don't contaminate the new grease. It's probably more than enough on there.
High-speed quick finder runs at 9 times normal speed. Pause and still button plus frame-by-frame operation. 14-day timer. Cordless remote control, which can also change channels on your color TV set. Warning buzzer prevents operating errors. The VS5 is ready when you are. The revolutionary VS5 lets Akai do the thinking. Look for it at your Akai retailer today. You simply can't miss.
Some might say it might be even a little too much. But whatever. All right, now the tricky bit is to get this back in so the alignment marks line up. And I should mention that you don't have to worry so much about the potentiometer, because it doesn't rotate freely. It stops at one end and the other. So it's basically impossible to line that up wrong. I know that now. I didn't know that when I made that little green mark on it. Anyway, this should be ready to go back on. Oh wait, I forgot something important. We have to lube this shaft. So I'm going to actually put some moly coat right on my glove. And I'm just going to smear it around like so. And then we should get some of that shoved down in there when the gear goes on. See if I can find my alignment mark again. Cycle it a few times like I do on timing belt jobs on vehicle engines, just to make sure it stays lined up. And it is staying lined up. Good. Now we can put the snap ring back in, and we're going to have to lube around the outside of this part as well, because that's where the head block mechanism goes in. That should be okay now, and we can turn our attention to oiling the capstan bearings, I mean. Like I said, brain's kind of weird today because I'm sick. Anyhow, this is kind of what I like about this mechanism is we can do this real easy from here. That's the front done, and we'll do the other side. I'm using 2 drops each side, which is probably overkill, especially considering there are no oil retaining washers on this entire mechanism, but whatever. It is what it is. It should be fine. I've basically stopped worrying about oil getting where it shouldn't on these ones that don't have the oil keepers. And again, these belts are actually for the GX-95, but it's the same transport, so it doesn't matter. All right, belt is good. And let me see here. Do I want to molly coat the outside of the that central gear? I think I do. Just a little bit will do. We don't need a lot there. He said right before getting more. Anywho, let's see, which one goes in first? This one, I think. Turning real well. And I have thought about changing up my oil for this, but the Andorol seems to be working really well, so I'm kind of reluctant to do it. There's a lot of different oil you can use for capstans. And that one's not spinning as freely. I'm going to put more oil in there. Some people use motor oil, synthetic, fully synthetic that is. Some people use watch oil. Others use 3-in-1 and that seems to work for them. I prefer the Andorol. But I have considered maybe trying out the oil my car takes, actually, which is fully synthetic. Okay, that's better. I think we're ready for our new inner capstan belt now. At least I hope we're ready. It occurs to me I didn't measure this. Oh well, I trust Fix Your Audio. That guy knows what he's doing. Alright, little molly coat for the thrust bearings here. And now we can put the motor back together. theoretically. That wasn't so hard now, was it? Well, except for the fact I've got moly coat on the motor coils now. Terrific. I'll just get in there and wipe that off real quick. Okay, moving real well. I like to see that. Don't tell me this is one tooth off now, this cam gear. No, I think it's fine. We'll find out real quick if it's not fine. There is an adjustment procedure for that, but I don't necessarily want to boggle myself with it. Well, we should probably figure out where these pins ride so we can put them back in properly. Okay, that's the head block, which apparently engages with this. And I'm guessing the pinch rollers do the same thing. They just engage with this raised part. So I will clean that off real quick. Not in the moly coat, like I just about did there. Nobody saw me do that. You can't prove anything. And the front should be ready to go back on the back. Oh, wait, look at this. Maybe I want to take that off and lube it first before I put this together. I will lube that up by moving it up and down, is exactly what I was thinking there. That's probably too much moly coat right there, but shouldn't hurt anything. We'll do the rest of that from the top, I do believe. And this should be ready to go back together. Well, they will be once I put this E-clip back on. Like so. Now we can put this back together, theoretically. Just gotta get in there and check to see that all the pieces are where they're supposed to be. And I think they are. Just get 2 screws in for now, and then I'm going to check the loading and unloading mechanism, or of the mechanism. Should be in play mode right now. And it appears to be. We'll cycle around to eject. And yes, we appear to be good. I hope we're good, because I don't want to get in there again. But yeah, hopefully I don't have to fiddle around with the alignment on that potentiometer. It's not that hard to do. It's just you kind of have to do it while the mechanism is able to be seen. You have to be able to see these markings in order to adjust it, and for that, I'm not sure how you do it in this particular machine because the power board kind of blocks it. But we'll worry about that later. We don't have to worry about it now, so we won't worry about it now, will we? Just checking to make sure everything's back together properly here. It appears to be. I don't see any screw-related issues or anything like that. So, time to do the top side. Alright, now the top side, it's just a matter of figuring out what items have to come apart first and whatnot. I am taking pictures once again, and let's get the real tables off. Gotta watch these little tiny clear washers. Where am I gonna put this? I'm gonna put it on my other phone so I know where they are. And off that one comes. I'll just put these off to the side for now. See if I can grab that clear washer and put it on my phone there. And yeah, this is coming apart fairly easily. I think I kind of want to take this all the way out before I fiddle with it. I'll release that spring there. Just trying to release the little catch at the top of the mechanism here. I believe this whole idler, yes, it pulls out. Okay, now we can deal with the idler. But first, well, I've still got some iso alcohol in that glass of mine. I want to clean off these reel spindles. For a while there, I was thinking of maybe trying the Andurol on these spindles as well, but I don't know if it's safe for plastics, so I'm going to keep doing the Molly Coat idea. Got an E-clip to get rid of. And it appears there's a washer on top here. And I know there's a spring under here, so I'm trying not to launch it. Okay, there we go. Oh, let's not lose that little washer. Spring off. And the felt looks good on this unit. That's the clutch. So let's get this tire off of here, if we can. I have trouble doing this with my fingernails sometimes, so you'll have to forgive me if I use this screwdriver instead. This idler needed to go. It's in bad shape. Very hard. And new idler going on. This I can do with my fingernails because it's brand new and nice and supple. I'm going to clean that off with distilled water real quick. Okay, that's nice and clean. And I'm going to clean the pulley up here. It's a brass one, so could use acetone on it, but I'm not going to. It's not really that bad. It's a heck of a lot better than the stuff we saw on the other side, I'll tell you what. Okay, I got some oil in there, I think. I'm going to pretend I got some oil in there. Feels all right anyway. Just the tiniest bit of moly coat on there should do. Remember, we don't want this stuff getting on the felt, so oil is strictly a no-no for me on this type of deal. I forgot I was supposed to clean that off too. This shaft. Yeah, that should do it. There, this way we can push the moly coat through and it ends up on the top side instead of back where we don't need it or want it. All right, now let's think about this. Do we want any moly coat under the spring? I think we do. So I'm just going to put a light coat on the spring. Set her down in there. I'll just put a touch on this metal dew jangler as well. Basically, don't need much at all. Washer goes on. Put just a teeny tiny drop of moly coat on there, and now E-clip. Like so. Just checking to see if I gotta clean off the tire again, and I think I may have to. That is fine. We can do that. Now let me see here. I think I might want a little moly coat down in there where this rides back and forth. If I can get it in there. Seem to be having trouble with fine motor skills at the moment. All right, what is next? Well, I guess what is next is putting this back in. If I can remember how it goes in. Now, where did that spring engage? Good question. All right, I got it. Service manual not required. There's basically a pin up there that engages with that, so easy peasy. Before I deal with this, I want to get the alignment gauge out, and I want to see exactly how well it's lined up from factory. So we're going to do that next, I guess. Checker bar. That one's lined up. That one's a wee bit off, but yeah, factory alignment looks like it's decent. That should really be in play mode if you're doing any adjusting, but that was just a basic pre-service check for me, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, now we got to get the pinch rollers off. Let's see, can I even do it with the head block in? Well, it's not much choice really on this side because the little sliding doohickey has to come off first, I think. So the very first thing we need to do is apparently get out the acetone because I can't get that screwdriver in there. We are dissolving the paint lock on this, is what we are doing. Looks like what we have here is a lock nut with a slotted doohickey up top, and then the actual adjustment nut is below that. So yeah, if you didn't have an alignment gauge, what you'd want to do is use a caliper and measure this, but I've got the gauge, so I'm going to make my life as easy as possible here. All right, I got a spring to get rid of here. There we go. There's a spring on the shaft for the pinch roller. Just hooks around. I don't know if you can see it. Like so. That's how it goes. So remember that. Okay, what do I got to do now to get this one off? Well, I've got a spring up here. I'll tell you what. Which is now released. And we got an E-clip over here. If I can get it off. Come on, get off there. Where did that spring go? Oh, there it is. Thought I lost it there for a second. I'm not really seeing how to do this without taking the head block off. But I was going to do that anyway, so let's take the head block off. Okay, we got a spring up here. Just get in there and release that. It looks like it's really hard to engage from either direction, so 6 of one, half dozen of the other. All right, now I need a screwdriver. That's a long screw, I'll tell you that right now. I can just tell. Yes, it is. Now we're going to have a ball bearing under here to keep track of. Yes, we do. There it is. Now the head block should be able to come off right now. Just like that. Should have some more ball bearings here. Maybe we don't. I'm not seeing any more ball bearings. And oh yeah, there actually are. They just aren't where I thought they were going to be. There's one here, there's one there, and there's one up here. So we'll have to clean that up too. All that stuff. Which I plan to. Just trying to organize here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this screw back out. That way I can move the entire head block away so I don't break these heads. That's not something I want to do. Put that well off to the side for now. And now we've got access to all these sliding plates and stuff. And there's an E-clip underneath the pinch roller. Why, Akai, would you do that to me? Well, it took some doing, but I finally got the E-clip off that holds on those two sliding doohickeys. I'm going to put it right there so I don't lose it. Basically, I had to take the right side pinch roller off first in order to even come close to having success with that. But now I can pull that sliding plate off and clean it real good. But yeah, that one is clean now. At least it should be. And hopefully we can get the this pinch roller do-jangler out now too. I'm not exactly sure how it comes apart from the sliding plate here, but there must be a way. I'm just not seeing it. Oh, lost a ball bearing. I knew that was going to happen. I hate losing ball bearings, especially ones this small. I'm going to put them all over here to keep them out of harm's way. I'm going to extract the ones that are still in the mechanism. All right, those should all be safe now. And yeah, I don't know exactly how this is supposed to come apart. I don't know if it's screwed in or what, but or is that another E-clip? I bet that's another E-clip. This thing's just full of E-clips. I hate E-clips. Stop it, Akai. Yeah, it's just hard to tell it's an E-clip because of the way it's greased up in there. I got it released. There we go. Put that one down there so I can keep it separate from the rest, and now I can pull this arm off, theoretically, and clean this one, theoretically. Okay, I'll put this one, well, let me clean this off first. That's nasty. I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing right now. Probably not. That's the way it goes around here. Film everything but what I'm doing. All right, that'll go right there and it'll be happy. Now I can maybe get this pinch roller do-jangler off of here. If it'll come off. Like I said a couple times before, it is really frozen up. But it's coming. There we go. And that will have to be thoroughly cleaned. But yeah, now we can get access to all the goodies underneath. That's going to be fun to put back together, I'm sure, but whatever. All right. Hope I got everything straight in my mind where everything goes. That E-clip goes on top of here. This E-clip goes on top of here. That one goes on top of here. Actually, let's put all that stuff a little more together so I can keep things straight, because there's Just way too many E-clips. Cleanup time. Hardcore cleanup time. I'm cleaning off all the moly coat I installed on here from the other side. Counterproductive. That's what we are today. But at least that's moving well. And this is moving well. And maybe I should pull that off for cleaning as well. Didn't realize it came off, but apparently it does. So yeah, we'll pull that off and clean it. All new moly coat shall make that happy. And I'm strongly considering acetone for these two pinch roller shafts, or pivot shafts. Just because that was really badly seized up. And acetone will take care of that real quick. But again, you have to be very careful with it. Otherwise, you're eating plastic instead of the stuff you're trying to clean. Few swipes, and then we'll go in immediately with iso-alcohol just to make happy. Like so. And Self, if you could stop going towards the moly coat with your Q-tips, that would be great. I don't know what kind of grease Akai used for this, but it's filthy. And there's a ton of it. Alright, that should do. I want to put this one little piece back on before I forget where it goes. Like so. Now, if I can figure out which is which and which goes on first and which goes on last, that will be happy sauce.
スピーカーを大地で鳴らす。こうして私たちは前面だけに広がる純粋な音を捉えます。研究室では得られない貴重なデータを求めてダイヤトーンの名にふさわしい音を見つけるために、そして今確かな音の主張、ダイヤトーンセレクト600。
I got something else to moly coat here. Try and get this slot here because that engages with this, I think. Not sure, but I believe that's where that goes. Moving nicely. I like it. But I am just realizing I need to take this one back off because I gotta deal with this nightmare. And the acetone is still out, so I'm going to do a pipe cleaner right through the middle with the acetone. Just like so. That looks like it's not clean yet. So I'm going to do that twice. If I can remember where I put things, I'll do it twice. There, that should be better. And I'll do the same thing over here with the worst one. And that should make happy. I hope. Still have to get the pinch roller off that one, but that's fine. We can do that. Just cleaning up any old grease that might have got on the capstan shaft. Just trying to molly coat in all 4 directions on there because pinch roller shafts usually don't move much. Oh yes, that's very nice. If that spring could cooperate, I would appreciate it. That spring is not cooperating and I don't appreciate it. Now we can put this sliding plate back in. Just trying to line things up. And there we go. Okay. Where is the E-clip? Don't tell me it's stuck to my hand, because I don't need to hear that. Because I just found it. Stuck to my hand. Okay, now we get to do the other one. Theoretically.
The look and sound of tomorrow from Akai. Performance-proven Akai digital tuners. Receivers. Amplifiers. And speakers. And now from Akai, new metal tape cassette decks with Akai's renowned GX glass head, guaranteed for 17 and a half years. Plus quartz direct drive turntables and Akai stereo video cassette recorders. The look and sound of tomorrow from Akai today. On sale now at your Akai dealer.
How did I miss that little bundle of grease? It's probably stuck to the bottom of that stupid washer. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. All right, what is next? Do I want to know? Oh, that's right. That pin here engages with this hole here. That's what that does. So, let me put this E-clip back on before I forget it. There we go. And I guess I should get this one too before I forget it. Not that it's easy for me to put this one back on. Just got to get some of this excess moly coat away before I can see what I'm doing here. And we can re-engage some of these springs now, I do believe. Let's see, that one goes on the other pinch roller, so I can't put that one back on yet. Oh, that's moving well. I like it. Now, what else do I have to do while I've got access here? Let's see, back tension brake is here. I need to check this felt actually. And it's not coming off. That is good. Let's see, do I do this now? No, I don't. I have to put the head block back on before I can even think about doing pinch rollers. Well, while I'm thinking about pinch rollers, let me get this one out so I don't have to do that later. And there is a washer on top of each pinch roller. Mustn't forget that. So I'm just gonna do that right there. You probably didn't see any of that. My apologies once again. I hope this thing works when I'm done with it. It should. The only thing I'm really concerned about right now is the nightmare I had underneath with the alignment of the stuff and things. So we can do brakes now, I guess. I don't think I need to remove the back tension brake, really. I can leave it there and just clean off all the old crappy grease on it. And let's see, I think I want the normal brakes off of here.
原音を刻む寸分の狂いも許されぬレコード鍵盤のカッティングそのアームはリニア方式直線に音を刻む縦コンも同じリニアトラッキング直線で刻まれた音が今直線でよみがえるいい音は直線ダイヤトーンの縦コン
I find it always helps if you put things on the right way instead of the wrong way, which I just about did right there. But I got it, don't worry. There, I hope that's on right. I don't know for sure. And now we can molly coat where the ball bearings go. And we need the head block. There's some cleaning to do here. Let's see, are we good to go with this? I think we are. I want to install that spring first because it's going to be a pain if I don't. It's already a pain, if you ask me. Well, if I can just get that to hook on, maybe we'll be getting someplace. There we go. Of course, it's always good to reinstall your ball bearings before you do this part. Well, it appears the head block is now in place. Thank Christ for that. It's moving real well, too. You would expect it to, though. So there's that. I gotta quit soon because I am not feeling good. And I'm getting worse as I go along here. Alrighty then. Alright, that should... well, I don't know. Touch a molly coat on there as well. Push her down so the grease can hold that. There, and we should have a happy head block now. Moving really well. Trying to delete the excess molly coat from where I don't want it. That should do. All right, let's put the real tables back on now. What say? Again, I'm not sure if it's best to use oil or grease on here, but I've been using grease all this time, so why not more grease? I haven't cleaned those out yet, have I? I will do that with the isopropyl alcohol because, again, plastic. That is slick. I'll tell you what. Just got to do pinch roller stuff now, and we should be done. And these pinch rollers aren't that bad, but I bought new ones, so they're going in. One down, one to go. And I'm going to save these old pinch rollers just for future projects.
Diatone からラジオカセット誕生。コンポの音作りが生きている。ダイアトーンコンポランド。音は血統だ。
All right. One more spring and then should be able to start the process of putting this back together. Feels good to me. One last swipe of the heads here for cleaning. There was some grease on there from before. And I will do the same to the capstan shafts as well. I'm going to blot it on my arm first so I don't get any alcohol down into the bearings. We do not want that. Okay, time to set the alignment here. Install, and now we got to get it up to play mode. This one is going to be way out. I just know it. I think it's in play mode. It should be. That guide is lined up. This guide, not so much. I gotta spin it to where I can see it. Sorry if you guys can't, but I need to know where it is. That might be it right there. Nope, needs to come up just a little bit more. I think it's good now. Yes, it is good right there. There, consider it locked down. And it's out of alignment again. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries to do this. We have happy success, I think. I hope. Paint locker down and then hope that doesn't move. That's what I'm doing there. And by paint lock, I mean nail polish. Just occurs to me that I forgot to check the head. I should do that before I put this tool away. Head height is a bit low. Is this fully engaged yet? Yes, it is, but it's at the minimum height, so I'm not too worried about that. Tilt is good. So we are good to go. So I'm going to put my tools away now, and I'm going to reassemble, and then we're going to test. So we are back together now, and let me just tell you, this was not fun to put back together. The door is a pain, I'll tell you that right now. Getting it off is easy, getting it back together is hard. But it's back together, and we're about to see if this thing works for the very first time. Okay, power is applied. Don't worry about the power button, I'll reinstall that later. I've only got the 2 top screws on the transport in case I gotta get back in there, which I probably will. And the bottom's not back on it yet, but this will do. Well, the door is staying closed, that's new. Oh, important things forgot I did. 1 second, I gotta plug everything back together. So, second time's the charm, I guess. Now that I got everything plugged back in again. Door's still staying closed, that's good. Let me check the motor. Capstan motor is running. Oh, that's working well now. Does it play? I'm going to run my path checker tape through it first, just in case I got the alignment wrong. I'm going to need you to take up a little slack on that, Mr. A&D. There we go. It's playing. I'm looking for issues with the guides, and I'm not finding any. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We might have had a successful service out of this one. Let me unmute the home theater, and we'll see if we can get some audio out of her for the first time ever. We sure can. I'll show you what's happening in there. It's kind of hard to see from that angle. Rewind. Fasty forwardy. Play. This thing is working well. I didn't think it was going to work this well out of the gate. I can't believe it went together that well. First time. Unbelievable. So yeah, since it appears to be working, all I've got to do is check the azimuth and do all that other stuff. It sounds fantastic too, I'll tell you what, at least from playing back the Excelia's recording here. But yeah, I'm real happy. It appears we got this thing working first try. I can't believe it. So it's time for checking the wow and flutter and see how fast or see how accurate the speed is on this thing. I'll remind you this is a quartz lock machine, so there's no adjustment possible if the speed is off. So hopefully it's bang on. If not, doesn't matter too much. I've got the Technics RSB 755 if I want something that's dead on 3 kilohertz. But for this, we're going to use a brand new Maxell UR tape. I have the suspicion that when I did this test on the Technics deck, I'm not exactly sure if the tape I used was really conducive to giving us a really good measurement. They were old realistic super tapes, 45 minutes. So we're going to try a Maxell UR. Usually Maxells have better shells on them, so don't mind me if I'm not making sense again. I got very little sleep last night. I did the transport service yesterday and did not get enough sleep that night, and we had a 3-hour power failure this morning, so I couldn't do this when I wanted to. So yeah, I'll pan you over here. I did check the azimuth. It wasn't off very far. It was pretty much dead on for levels and slightly off for phase, but it's adjusted now. I tried to get in there and paint lock it, but it wasn't very easy because that adjustment's buried in there, but I got some nail polish on the end of a dental pick and got some in there, so we'll see. Now I gotta fire this up and set my levels on the machine here. I did clean the controls here. Okay, so we are ready to go. Signal generator is running at 3 kilohertz. I think I'm going to move the cursor over so I can adjust as needed, and we're going to just go ahead and record if we can figure out how to do that. Okay, record pause has it ready, it looks like. And we are running. Let me start this. And it is dead on. But the wow and flutter is much higher than I would like it to be on this machine. The spec on this machine is 0.025%, which is extremely low. And I don't know exactly what's going on here. Could it be a power issue, I wonder? Power supply issue, I mean. I did not change those capacitors on the motherboard. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe it'll still settle down here. I did notice it was running a little wonky when I did the azimuth. But, yeah, this seems to be a pattern for me. Somehow I can never seem to get the wow and flutter down to where it should be on these things. I mean, it's showing flashes of brilliance here, but I don't know. I'm thinking I might have to recap the power supply. because it's blipping way up there, almost to 0.1%, and it shouldn't at all. We're still doing good enough to do our record and play test, but yeah, I am kind of thinking power supply related issues here. Well, I found part of the problem with the wound flutter. This is the result I'm getting right now, and this is without the door on the unit. So it appears what we've got going on is, remember those little plastic springs I said I wasn't going to touch in the door mechanism that can lose their strength over time? Well, it appears those are the problem. Actually, there's more than one issue going on with the wound flutter. One of them is a mechanical issue I didn't find until after this video was done editing. We'll address that in the next video. But, yeah, that's the problem, I think. Or at least part of the problem. Could still have capacitor issues, but real quick, I'm going to shut this down. And I want to show you exactly how to calibrate this machine. It's really cool. Okay, so we'll go into calibration mode, and we get a change in the display here. We've got level and bias. This is really cool. So we're going to go into record. We're going to wait for the machine to get into the actual tape. And look at this. This is the easiest calibrating thing I've ever seen. Look at that. It's already lined up. You've got the bottom for bias, and then the top for the level. You just line them up like that, and that tape is calibrated. Doesn't get much easier than that beyond going with the V900X's auto calibration. Now, before we get to the actual record and play test, I wanted to mention the recording has already been done, and I am not using the Sony Metal Master for this, and there's one good reason why, and I wanted to discuss that with you right now. Let's turn off cal mode. I'll turn this off. Basically, the Sony Metal Master is damaged. I don't know if you can see it. There is a little bit of a crease in that tape. And fair disclosure, I did try to at first run this tape through this machine, and it does not appear to be this machine at fault. No, this is creased beyond where I stopped recording on it with this machine. However, I cannot conclusively prove that this damage is the fault of the Technics either. Very well could be, but I don't think it is. And the reason for that is, if I can grab it here, this is the speed test tape the Technics made. You see any creases on that tape? Because I don't. So yeah, keep in mind that the Sony Metal Master I've had in my possession since 1992 or 93. So it could have happened any time between now and then. But I'm strongly thinking it happened on that machine. I recorded Vangelis's voices on that tape with that machine, and that's an auto reverse. And I did not fully service that transport before I put the Metal Master in it, so yeah, that's on me, I guess. But yeah, this machine didn't like the Sony Metal Master. Immediately when I started recording on it, it basically had very little left channel going. And initially I thought it was something that I screwed up with the transport because of the high wound flutter, but no, the high wound flutter is because of the door. At least partially because of the door. It still could be capacitors, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, as soon as I put one of my Sony Metal SRs in here, like I've been using for all the other decks, no problem whatsoever. This thing likes those tapes. And you're about to find out just how well it likes those tapes. Oh boy, are you ever.
of the prayer's hand. Evil cards will start the war. This is a game we're looking for. No prayer's words will stop the game. Who will carry all this pain?
So, thoughts and feelings about the Akai A&D GX-Z9100 after service. Well, before we get to that, I gotta show you this little cool party trick I found that this thing can do. Watch this. This is my demo tape here. Watch this. It will literally half play speed, or half speed play. And you can go right back to normal play with another press. Ain't that cool? I think it's cool. Half of you probably already knew about that, but I didn't, so I'm easily impressed. What can I say? So, thoughts about this guy? Well, let me put it this way. Number one. Very easily number one. It's not a slam dunk number one. It's not leagues above the Excelia XK007 and TAC V900X. It's more or less kind of like the two rolled into one glorious cassette deck with just a hair better sound quality than either one manages by itself. That's about the best I can say about it. But I ran 3 tracks through this. I don't know if you heard all 3 of them. Probably you didn't, because the third track is very likely to get a content ID match, but I'll zoom you in a bit here. Anyhow, the third track I used was Tears for Fears' Famous Last Words, a track I know extremely well. I use it for system tuning, equalization. I know that track back to front, and I'll put it this way. The XK007 and V900X can fool me into wondering whether or not I'm on tape or source with most tracks. They cannot do that with Famous Last Words. This one can do it with Famous Last Words. So I have officially exceeded my ability to be able to tell the difference with the reproduction equipment I have. That is the Camber 0.5Ts in the office and the receiver that's powering them. So, in order for me to find anything that's better than this tape deck, I think I'm going to have to buy a good set of studio headphones, because I can't tell the difference on those speakers anymore. But yeah, if ever there was a deck that I could definitively say is most likely a Dragon Killer, it's this one right here. This is world-class tape deck technology right here. It doesn't get much better than this. And the fact that A&D went back and did it 2 more times with the EX and the EV and called it better each time, I have to experience this. I was really reluctant to spend a lot of money for one of their units before I got this one, but next time I'm throwing the whole wallet at the thing. Yeah, I gotta have the EV now, and I've got the perfect excuse, because I don't have the remote for this one yet. So, very likely the EV model I try to get will have the remote. I'm not taking no for an answer on that. It has to have the remote if I buy one. But yeah, I have to try one. I have to get one now. That's where this delusion is heading. But yeah, in the next video we do on this unit, there will be another video. We're going to address the plastic springs in the doors because it's clearly interfering with the wow and flutter. I didn't think it would be a problem, but it is. Apparently this door is too heavy. It's just pulling ever so slightly outwards and ruining things that way. I don't know if you're familiar with the quality of Nippon Chemicon capacitors, but in previous experience they didn't have the best lifespan. Like the ones from the 1970s, I found them going bad already in the 1990s, and I very much suspect that all those yellow capacitors in there are going bad now. I just have that strong feeling that's also contributing to the wow and flutter issues on this unit. So the next video on this is going to be fixing the door springs and recapping the power supply and the motor board. And I think that will bring this one across the line. I did make a few mistakes on this one because I tried to get it all done in one day, and it doesn't really have to be done that way on this transport. You can do it like the motor block one day and the front of the transport the next day, and still not lose track of what you're doing. So I'm going to slow down on the next one. I'll do the motor block one day, the front of the transport the next day. I'll get everything in one shot, including the door springs. Those absolutely have to be done on one of these now. But yeah, my number one cassette deck is this one now. It's bumped everything else down the list. And I'll put it this way. This thing records better on a Sony Metal SR than my modified RSB 755 does with a Metal Master. So that should tell you something. And it would have been nice if I could have used the Metal Master on this deck, but unfortunately it's damaged. And but I will say this, the right channel off the Sony Metal Master with this machine, it was just glorious. So I don't know if I'm ever going to replace the Sony Metal Master. I don't like overpaying for cassette tapes, and these things are already expensive. So yeah, if I get a Metal Master, or if I get a new Metal Master or a new Super Metal Master, very likely it'll be a 45-minute, and it will not see very many decks at all in my collection. I have to know that these things are serviced perfectly and working perfectly before such a tape goes into them now. But yeah, I can still use my Sony Metal Master. I just have to wind past the damage part. But I'd rather just leave it be now. It's enough that this thing sounds as good as it does with a Sony Metal SR. Also, I have seen some reports that these machines will work fine without a 100-volt step-down transformer in North America, but I'm kind of reluctant to try it at this moment. I think it would probably work. I've looked at the power supply. There doesn't seem to be anything that will blow up if I try it, but I've got the step-down transformer, and I think I'll keep using it. Why wouldn't I if I'm already into this thing for $700? Yeah, I've already ordered the capacitors for it. So yeah, $700 all in. I think this one will be across the line, and it'll be fabulous. I just know it will be. Anyhow, that's going to be it for today, guys. See you in the next video. Take care.